Okay, so let's get right into it. There is a massive, and I mean massive, and expensive mistake that millions of us gardeners are making every single year. We are spending a ton of money to wipe out a whole army of free, highly skilled workers who are already on the job doing it for us.
And how much money are we talking about? $2.6 billion. That's what North American gardeners spend on pesticides every single year. And here's the crazy part. A huge chunk of that money is being used to kill the very insects that were helping them out for free. We are literally paying to sabotage our own gardens. So why are we doing this?
Well, it's because we've been taught to see pretty much any bug as an enemy, right? But in reality, scientists estimate that only about 1% of all insect species are what you'd call actual pests. The other 99%, they're either just minding their own business or are actively beneficial. The problem is, a broad-spectrum pesticide, it can't tell the difference, but you can.
So let's start with your most obvious allies, the ones that are kind of hiding in plain sight. These are your garden's elite bodyguards, but they often get mistaken for the very thing they were hired to take out.
Okay, picture this. You're out checking on your roses, and you see this thing. It's fast, it's spiky, it looks like a miniature alligator with like orange racing stripes. Your first instinct is probably to get that thing off your plant, right? Squish it?
And that's the myth. It looks menacing, so it must be a threat. Most gardeners see this and they immediately remove it, thinking, I just saved my plant from some dangerous pest.
But here's the reality. That's a baby ladybug. And this really shows how much we get wrong, because this larval stage, this is the most voracious, pest-destroying phase of its entire life. How effective are we talking? Well, a single ladybug larva can gobble up 40 aphids per hour. Let that sink in for a second. That's not a typo. It is an absolute aphid-eating machine, and it's free. And get this, the ladybug larva isn't even working alone. Meet its partners in crime, the aphid lion, which is actually the baby version of that delicate green lacewing. It's got these massive jaws and just eats hundreds of aphids. And then you've got hoverfly larvae. They look like these tiny, harmless little caterpillars, but they can devour up to 400 aphids before they turn into adults that, by the way, pollinate your flowers. It is a full-on security detail, working around the clock.
So now that we've met the kind of obvious bodyguards, let's talk about the ones with a much, much worse reputation. These are the insects we have been trained to hate, but it turns out they're secretly on our side.
Case in point, the earwig. I mean, the name alone is terrifying, right? It comes from this old European myth that they crawl into your ears while you sleep. They absolutely do not do this. The myth was just way more dramatic than the boring truth. And the reality is even more surprising. The Royal Horticultural Society, one of the most respected gardening organizations in the world, actually recommends you attract earwigs to your garden. Yeah, you heard me. To protect your fruit trees from aphids, the very insect you've probably been squashing is a valuable tool you've just been throwing away.
Now, ants have a complicated rep. And it's true, some species farm aphids for their sugary honeydew. But you know what? That's a tiny, tiny part of the story. On a massive scale, ants are like tireless groundskeepers. They're aerating your soil, they're hunting other pests like termites, they're breaking down organic matter. And get this, globally, over 11,000 plant species rely on ants to disperse their seeds. The benefits are just enormous, and they vastly outweigh the occasional aphid farming.
All right, quick question. Forget the garden for a second. In the entire animal kingdom, who do you think is the most successful hunter on the planet? A lion? Maybe a shark? A cheetah?
It's the dragonfly. A 2012 study found its hunting success rate is a staggering 95%. Now, to put that into perspective, a cheetah, the icon of predatory speed, only succeeds on about half of its hunts. The dragonfly is in a completely different league, just snatching mosquitoes, gnats, and other pests right out of the air. So we're about halfway through, and if you're finding these hidden secrets of your garden as fascinating as I am, hey, take a quick moment to like this and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so we've met the obvious bodyguards and the misunderstood agents. But the most effective pest control in your garden, it's happening on a scale you can't even see. It's time to meet the invisible army.
And to understand this army, you just need to know this one word, parasitoid. It's an insect whose larvae develop inside another insect host, feeding on it and, well, eventually killing it. I know it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie, but it is happening all around you.
You know, if you've ever seen a big green tomato hornworm covered in what looks like little grains of white rice, you've seen this in action. Those are actually the cocoons of a braconid wasp. The wasp larvae literally ate that caterpillar from the inside out. Now, if you destroy that hornworm, you're not just killing one pest, you're killing hundreds of future wasps that would have gone on to find even more hornworms for you.
Or what about this guy? I mean, it looks like a regular housefly, maybe a little bristlier. You'd probably just ignore it. But according to the University of Maryland, this is a tachinid fly, and it's the #2 most important insect pest killer in North American gardens, right behind those parasitoid wasps. And different species target specific pests, like Japanese beetles and stink bugs, total specialists. And this is where it gets truly amazing. The smallest parasitoid wasps are so tiny that several of them can fit on the head of a pin. They don't attack the adult pest or even the larva. Nope. They operate on a microscopic level, laying their own eggs inside the eggs of pests before they can even hatch. You never even see it happen. You just think, wow, I got lucky with pests this year. So after seeing all these secret allies at work, from the tiny alligator to the invisible army, what's the big takeaway for your own garden? What does this all mean for you?
Well, the alternative to constantly spraying everything is simply knowledge. It all comes down to one thing: identify what you're looking at before you act. Remember, pesticides don't discriminate. They kill your free labor right alongside the actual pests. And here is the most important part. Pests always rebound faster than their predators. So when you spray, you're actually giving the pests a head start for the next round. Understanding this whole ecosystem, that is your most powerful tool.
So the next time you're out in your garden, I want you to look closer. Don't just see bugs. Look for the bodyguards, the misunderstood agents, and the signs of that invisible army at work. So I'll leave you with this question. Who are the unsung heroes in your garden? Let me know what you find down in the comments below.